Loading into Dying Light for the first time, just like any other game, can be a bit overwhelming. This video is meant to give you some insight, some quality knowledge, and prevent some confusion down the road, with the exception of any spoilers, as we don't want to do none of that. I feel like some of the greatest things about this game is the discovery. First off, before you jump in feet first and break your ankles, go through your settings, make sure everything is up solid. The game can be a bit intense, per se. You know, you got ray tracing bloom, all this stuff going on. So to make sure everything's good, everything's set right. This kind of only applies if you're on PC, but nonetheless, just make sure everything's set the way you want it. Also, before I move on to the next topic, I just want to mention that you can also change your FOV and your gamma in the setting. Unpopular opinion or not, I love being able to change my FOV, even in Minecraft, you know, max that shit out, you know what I'm saying? So the option's there if you need it. Next up, we have difficulties. Now there's 4 different difficulties. There's story mode, normal, hard, and nightmare. Story mode obviously being the easiest, nightmare obviously being the hardest. So let's go over each of these difficulties and tell you certain things about them that you might need to know. First off, story mode. It is obvious. It's the easiest one. There's nothing challenging about story mode whatsoever. There is one drawback to playing on story mode. Your XP is limited. So like the harder difficulty you play on, the more XP you get. The harder difficulty you play on, the less abundant items are. So from story mode being the most abundant when it comes to loot, to nightmare being the least abundant when it comes to loot. Hard and nightmare difficulties, the survivor sense works differently. It does not scan everything in the room, and it does not highlight items that surround you. So there's kind of a drawback there. Like if you're looking for trophies and stuff, good luck. You're gonna have to look up a video and follow it to the T, because your survivor sense ain't gonna help you there. Now, before we get started into the actual gameplay, I'd like to do a rundown of the basic statistics of the game. For example, it takes 20 to 30 hours for the main story and 15 to 20 hours for the following. It kind of just depends on your playstyle. For example, me, I loot fucking everything. Like, I will go into every nook and cranny and dig my little paws in there. It works for me. I love it. I'm a loot goblin, all right? So if that's you, it might take you a bit longer. If it's not you, you'll probably be fine. It won't take you that long. All right, next up we have the Quartermaster, which is, I mean, he's relatively important. He's where you turn in some of your rewards from like quarantine zones and all that stuff. He also gives you some starter materials. Almost every time you go to him, he'll give you one weapon as well. It's usually pretty ass, but I mean, it gives it to you. You know, it's basically free. All right, now we're right here in the tower. This is the Bozac Horde poster. There are 2 main DLCs in this game. There's the Bozac Horde, and then there's also the following. You'll learn more about those as you play the game, as you know, pop-up ads and stuff like that telling you that like this is next. The following is probably one of my favorite. Is my favorite one. The Bozac Horde is more like a arena type, like challenge-based trial run thing, which you'll also learn more about, especially if you want it. It's pretty good. It's got some decent rewards. You get the Bozac bow. I probably shouldn't have told you that, but yeah, you get the Bozac bow and a couple other goodies when you complete the Bozac trials. So keep that in mind whenever you're thinking about whether or not you want to buy DLC or not. Next, we have the shop, and you'll spend a good amount of time looking through the shop. There's 2 key things that I want to mention about the shop before you just jump into it. So your rewards from the shop are based on your survivor rank, which is from 0 to 24 or 25. I'm not sure. I can't really remember. They sell resources for you that you can pick through. I personally would recommend buying all of them. Every time you go to the shop, if it's available, the resources will come in handy when you're crafting weapons or really anything that you need resources for, even some quests later down the line. Just keep that in mind and try to buy your resources whenever you can. And then we make our way to the upgrades, and the upgrades are great late game. You don't really see much use to them early game. You get some upgrades early game, like the Berserker, the Fencer, Gladiator, King, Titan, all that kind of stuff. But they're not too crazy useful with early game weapons. Usually you want to save those for the gold weapons, like the later tiers. But so as you can see, they change durability, damage, and handling. The King is obviously the best. It does 2 for each category. Outside of that, each one you have to just cycle through them in your inventory and see which ones do what your goal is. And you can stack them. Usually with gold weapons, you got 3 upgrades. So that's why they're most useful later down the line. In the start, you got gray weapons, and they have 1 upgrade slot, and it really doesn't boost it all that much. You play for an extra 20 minutes, you're gonna find something better than it anyway. So I just felt like I should mention that because some people don't learn that very early. Some people it takes forever. So I felt like I mentioned that. Just go ahead and get that in the back of your head while you're playing. I must have recorded this footage perfect because I haven't had to cut for the last like 4 voice lines because the footage just lines up so perfectly. This one we're talking about combat, and the combat in Dying Light 2 is much better than Dying Light 1 in my personal opinion. It's still really great in this game too. The runners dodge a lot. There's, you know, each creature has its different abilities and different ways it likes to fight. For example, the bolter doesn't, it just runs. You got the demolisher that sprints at you. You got the volatile that's just up your ass the whole time. You've got regular zombies that like to grab you. The runners just dodge and smack you while they run. The fighting style depends on what you're fighting, but overall the combat in this game is pretty A tier compared to some games like Dead Island, for example. I mean, I know the same company made Dead Island, but they've come a long way from then to now. So, okay, so we have our blueprints. I have them listed out. This is not all of the blueprints. This is just some that you can find in the slums and some in DLCs, because you can get some in DLCs now. You've got some developer weapons. You've got the XP caliber and the Quartermaster machete. Next, we are going to roll over to our skills. You have survivor, agility, power, and your legend skills. I'm not going to show you the legend skills for spoiler reasons. Here's your survivor tree. There are 25 levels to your survivor tree, and you have to max that out in order to get your legend levels. Same with agility and power. Here's your agility tree. There's quite a few options for you to choose, and it's got a mix between combat and traversing around the map. Here's your power levels. This is most of your killing content, like your power blows, your like drop kick, all that kind of jazz. Your legend levels unlock at 1,000,000 XP after you've maxed out all of your skills. So you can't do it a second before that. Now we have your quest line. So there's different tiers. There's your bounties. You have your multiplayer, which is Be the Zombie, your repeatable quests, your side quests, and your story quests. I don't think there's a lot of explanation needs to go there because it tells you straight away what it is. Like there's nothing hidden in between the lines with that. And now the map. So there's quite a few icons that you kind of got to look for. Most of them, you can obviously open up the legend on your map, but as a short explanation, you got your safe zones. If it's undiscovered, it's red. If it's discovered, it is green. You've then got your quest objectives, which is the circle with a dot in the middle. When it's orange, it means that's your active quest. When it's grayed out or white, that is your inactive quests, which you can still do while you have a different quest active, but it just shows up on your map. You've got the boot thing with 3 stars underneath. That is your agility quests. What I just zoomed into is your bounting board right there. All right, and then we have our resources. We have our herbs, our flesh and shrooms, our lavender, underwater algae, etc., etc. There's a couple other things that you'll need for quests, but they're not labeled normally. So you just have to wait until you go through those quests in order to deal with that. There's your Excalibur location on that rock. You'll have to swim out to it, hold F key for, I don't know, like 2 minutes or so, 5 minutes. I don't remember what the exact time is, but you have to hold it there for quite a fucking long time, if I'm being honest with you. You've also got your quarantine zones, which show up in red. It's pretty much impossible to miss. They're very out there. I believe that is it. Airdrops will occasionally spawn throughout the map, and they show up as that blue little icon there you see on the minimap right now. If you take a while to get there, there will be Rice's men waiting there for you, and one of the boxes will be open, so you will get half the rewards. The relief packages are really good because they will give you survivor XP and quite a lot of it if you get a lot of them, so I would definitely keep it. The last thing that I will show is the location of the Quartermaster machete. We are up here on the top left of the map, and I will speed this up real quick so you can see just how long it takes to get this thing open. Alright guys, well I believe that sums up everything that I needed to cover in this video while we're watching me kick this box endlessly. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit that subscribe button if you wouldn't mind helping me out. I am currently homebound from surgery after a motorcycle accident, so this is pretty much all I can do. But I appreciate you guys. If you did stay to the end, comment banana. And if there's anything else that you think I missed that I should have included in the video, feel free to leave in the comments below. I would actually really like to hear your feedback. There's probably some things that I missed. I was kind of, and it's hard to keep your thoughts in order when doing a video like this, or at least from my experience, it's the first time I'm doing one, and this thought out. So I would appreciate any feedback that you can give me. It doesn't matter what it is. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.